thought the weather change would be nice, and I was kind of interested by the movies and the famous people and people I admired, and I just, you get tricked by all the stuff you grew up watching, and I just want to go home.
So I ran downtown thinking that it was going to be something different. And when I got downtown, it became a nightmare for me.
Los Angeles is a very, very crazy place.
There's no dreams here. Only nightmares.
Leave Los Angeles immediately, before you become the next victim. Don't let the glitz of Hollywood, the million-dollar mansions, or the American dream blind you from reality. Los Angeles is no longer the paradise you once imagined. This city is spiraling into a nightmare, where crime runs rampant, poverty is overwhelming, and homelessness has become the new normal. Every day, over 200 people lose their homes, turning once luxurious streets into a sea of tents, trash, and despair. And don't think you're immune. When even a university professor earning $70,000 a year can't afford rent, when veterans, intellectuals, and hard-working citizens are being forced onto the streets, are you really sure you won't be next? What has pushed Los Angeles to the edge? How bad has this crisis truly become? Today, join us as we uncover Homeless Crisis Explodes, Los Angeles is collapsing fast, and expose the shocking reality hidden beneath the city's fading glamour. And if, after watching this video, you still want to stay here, get ready for the worst. Los Angeles, the city of angels, a symbol of wealth and opportunity. People dream of a dazzling LA, where towering skyscrapers stand proudly, luxurious restaurants serve meals worth $1,000, and Hollywood dreams shine under the spotlight. But the reality is far harsher. Here, forget about glamorous parties or fame. Just having a roof over your head is a distant dream. Some dreams end before they even have a chance to take shape, fading away in tattered shacks hidden in the shadows of the glamorous Hollywood capital.
If you're not shocked by what you see, then I don't know what you would be shocked by.
Can you believe it? Out of every 10 people you meet on the street, 6 have either been or currently are homeless. The number of homeless people in LA has increased by 28%, bringing the total to 75,518, the highest number in the city's history. While about 207 people escape homelessness every day, 227 new people fall into it, creating a brutal, never-ending cycle. Los Angeles is becoming a sinking lifeboat in the tidal wave of homelessness, and the city is going under at an alarming rate. If you think this issue only exists in a few poor neighborhoods, you're wrong. The homelessness crisis has spread across Los Angeles. Sidewalks from the glamorous Hollywood Boulevard to the dreamy Venice Beach are now packed with tents sprouting like mushrooms. The streets are overwhelmed with a filth. The stench of waste fills the air, and countless wanderers roam like lifeless shadows. Once popular tourist destinations have now sunk into decay, chaos, and utter despair. Los Angeles still shines, but it is no longer the promised land for dreamers. This once glamorous city has turned into a brutal battleground for survival, where poverty, disease, crime, and social injustice lurk in every corner. So, if you're considering moving here, think twice. Because once you step in, you might be caught in this merciless spiral with no way out. It sounds crazy, but here's the truth. Even an astrophysics professor at one of the world's most prestigious universities doesn't have a place to call home. Daniel McKeown, an astronomy lecturer at UCLA, earns $70,000 per year, a figure that seems sufficient for a stable life. But what's the reality? Even with that salary, he couldn't afford rent in Los Angeles. Soaring living costs forced him to leave his apartment, relying on friends for shelter while searching for a cheaper place. His commute to work stretched to 2 hours each day, eventually pushing him to teach online, not by choice, but out of necessity.
Early in the summer, I started telling people I'm facing homelessness, I'm not making enough to pay my rent.
Despite working tirelessly and earning a salary close to 6 figures per year, Daniel McKeown still couldn't cover even the most basic needs in Los Angeles. A harsh reality. Knowledge and hard work are no longer a guaranteed ticket to a stable life. The homelessness crisis isn't just affecting the unemployed or low-income workers. It's engulfing even highly educated individuals, people who once believed that their careers and qualifications would shield them from instability. How harsh must an economy be when someone with a PhD, working tirelessly, still can't afford to live? When even those with strong academic backgrounds are being swept into this crisis, is there still hope for the American dream? Do you know? In the heart of glamorous Los Angeles lies an apocalyptic zone that few dare to mention: Skid Row. This neighborhood is often described as a living hell, home to over 4,400 forgotten souls huddled in tattered tents amidst mountains of trash, along with people wandering like lifeless zombies. A horrifying scene, no different from a terrifying zombie movie.
It smells of urine everywhere. Skid Row had about 10 toilets, I think, for thousands of people.
You didn't hear it wrong. Just 10 public toilets for thousands of homeless people in Skid Row. That's all the government provides for them in here. Walking along the sidewalks of Skid Row, the pungent stench of urine rises in the air, making it impossible to breathe. Skid Row has become a magnet for poverty and homelessness. No one knows exactly why people end up on these streets. Each person has a different story, a unique path that led them here. But one harsh reality unites them: substance dependence. For many, it's an escape, a desperate way to numb their pain and make it through another day. A survey revealed that 4 out of 10 unhoused individuals in this area struggle with mental illness or addiction. For them, substances offer a fleeting sense of relief. Yet, at the same time, they are the very chains that keep them bound to Skid Row forever. But the crisis extends beyond poverty and addiction. Skid Row is also a breeding ground for disease, where illnesses once thought eradicated in the Middle Ages, such as bubonic plague, typhus, and tuberculosis, are making a terrifying comeback. Dark alleys, filled with waste and reeking of urine, have become a ticking time bomb for outbreaks. The unhoused fall ill, but no one cares. They have no insurance, no money for treatment. And when disease spreads, it won't just be the homeless people or those on Skid Row who suffer. All of Los Angeles will be at risk. Even the police and medical workers hesitate to enter Skid Row after dark. Because once night falls, this place turns into a real-life nightmare version of the Walking Dead movie. If you think Skid Row is just a small, hidden corner of Los Angeles, think again. What's happening here is a warning sign for all of America. Today, it's Skid Row. But tomorrow, it could be the future of the entire America.
There are days I do. There are days I do all right. But that money goes really fast because it costs a lot to live.
Los Angeles ranks among the top 5 most expensive cities in the US. Here, money vanishes faster than you think. Living in LA isn't just costly, it can crush your future. The median home price is nearly $1 million, 2.5 times higher than the national average. And if you're thinking of renting, be prepared to pay $2,570 per month, $1,200 more than the national average. Numbers like these shatter dreams, turning aspirations into a cruel reality. Thousands of working people in LA can't afford a home, not because they're unemployed, but because their wages can't keep up with the skyrocketing cost of living. Many people, even with a stable job and steady income, are still forced to live in their cars, tents, or makeshift shelters on the streets. But rent is just the beginning of this crisis. Food prices have surged 30% in just 2 years, making a nutritious meal a luxury. Groceries alone can cost $350 per month, and when you add internet, transportation, and entertainment, expenses can climb by another $300 per month. Meanwhile, as everything gets more expensive, LA's minimum wage is just $14.25 per hour. You can work tirelessly for an hour, but the money you earn still isn't enough to buy a $16 fast food meal. In other words, a burger is worth more than an hour of your hard work. Now, everything is getting more expensive, except your paycheck. And what happens if you get sick? If you don't have a thick wallet, just forget about seeing a doctor. Because even a single medical visit can wipe out your months of savings. Many avoid hospitals altogether because they know one medical bill could push them into financial ruin. But the worst thing is, the SNAP Food Assistance Program, which supports over 42 million Americans, has been cut. For those struggling to put food on the table, this is nothing short of a death sentence. Now, many are left with an impossible choice: pay rent or food. The cost of the American dream has become a nightmare. It forces us to ask, is the American dream still worth chasing? Or has it been buried beneath gleaming skyscrapers where only the ultra-rich truly belong? And what about ordinary working people? They're left behind, lost in a dream that's now too expensive to reach. Each night, as the city glows with neon lights and towering skyscrapers, over 4,000 homeless youths quietly fade into the shadows.
I'm scared and I don't like being here. I have to stay with my mom, be brave, deal with the things that me and my mom is going through.
You gotta go to school?
In this situation, no.
Yes. Are there a lot of other friends?
No.
No school, no friends, no future. These children grow up on the margins of society, stripped of the chance to shape their own destiny. While others carry backpacks, share laughter with friends, and dream of a bright future, homeless kids roam the streets, forced to fight for survival instead of experiencing the innocence of childhood. They have nothing to lose, because they never had anything to begin with. Their dreams are buried beneath the trash, and their future is swallowed by darkness. Perhaps their fate was sealed the moment they were born. Not because they are incapable, but simply because they were never given a chance. Unless the government takes bold action, this crisis will spiral into an endless cycle of tragedy. A new generation of zombies will emerge, abandoned by the system, lost beneath the crushing waves of crisis, poverty, and neglect. Every day, millions of immigrants set foot in the US with hopes of a better life. But instead of grasping the American dream, many find themselves trapped in a harsh reality. 1 in 3 residents in Los Angeles is an immigrant, yet not all find opportunity. Instead of a fresh start, they are pulled into a downward spiral, caught between reality and the disappointment of a shattered dream. They come to America seeking a future, only to end up lost on the sidewalks, sleeping in their cars, or shivering beneath freezing overpasses. Without legal documents, they cannot find decent jobs. Without a stable income, they cannot afford the ever-rising rent. Without government assistance, they are abandoned on the very land where they once placed their hopes. Millions of undocumented immigrants are left without legal status, meaning they are ineligible for aid, even in times of crisis. But that's not all. Prejudice and discrimination make it even harder for them to access housing, employment, and social services. When every door of opportunity is shut, many have no choice but to sleep on sidewalks, in their cars, or in makeshift tents scattered across a city of wealth and luxury. They came here in search of a better life. Yet, in the end, they have become forgotten shadows, pushed to the margins of society. This is not just a story, it's a reflection of a deeper injustice, a system that, knowingly or not, is forcing millions into desperation and despair. Imagine this. You live in a city of 3.8 million people, where the median income is $65,950 per year. Sounds decent, right? But ironically, that number still isn't enough to secure a roof over your head. You can work tirelessly for 60 hours a week, juggling 2 or even 3 jobs at once, and still find yourself sleeping in your car, squeezing onto crowded subways, or crashing at a relative's place. You may still be drowning in bills, struggling to scrape together enough for your next meal. We once believed that hard work would lead to a better life. But in Los Angeles, working hard only helps you barely get by. To be considered middle class, you need to earn between $55,000 and $165,000 per year. But even if you have a good job, a college degree, and a $92,100 annual salary, something that once guaranteed a stable life, it no longer means much. Yes, even if you did everything right, stability is now a luxury. In the past, a middle-class family could live comfortably on one income. Today, even with both spouses working full-time, they still struggle to keep up. Rent is skyrocketing, healthcare costs are crushing, food prices keep climbing. They're in a race to make ends meet, but the finish line keeps moving further away. When even the middle class can't afford to live, when a steady job is no longer a shield against homelessness, what's left of the American dream? Perhaps the American dream has never been this fragile. Homelessness is no longer just a story of poverty. It has become a harsh reality that anyone can face. Intellectuals, middle class, the elderly, young people, veterans, no one is immune to the risk of losing everything. For over 10 years, Wendy has lived in an old, run-down RV parked along the streets of Playa del Rey. Not because she chose this life, but because she simply didn't have the chance to choose better things. The meager SSI benefits she receives are nowhere near enough to rent a house.
Day by day, you never know what's going to happen or where you're going to be tomorrow.
Her life inside that RV is not a choice, but the last resort. Inside, there's no bathroom, no space to breathe. The vehicle can't move, not because it's broken, but because she has nowhere else to go. Every road is a dead end. Every door is slammed shut in her face. She is pushed away, dehumanized, stripped of dignity. But Wendy's tragedy goes beyond homelessness. She lost her mother and 2 of her grandchildren. That unbearable loss swallowed her whole, dragging her further away from any chance at a normal life. She remembers a friend who once lived like her, surviving in an RV on the streets. But he didn't make it. A fire took his life, reducing both his home and his future to ashes. It was more than just an accident. It was a cruel reminder of how fragile life is for the unhoused. A reminder that for people like Wendy, it only takes one misstep, one tragedy, one stroke of bad luck, and they could lose everything, including their lives. Once a hero who fought to defend his country, Wendell now wanders the streets of Los Angeles, forgotten by the very nation he served. At 80 years old, he is a heartbreaking example of the injustice many elderly people face. Those who dedicated their lives to society, only to find they no longer have a place in it. Wendell's world was never the same after tragedy struck. He's lost his wife, one of his sons in the military, and another one in a car accident. Before becoming homeless, Wendell sold his house to pay off debts left behind by his late son, helping his daughter-in-law raise 2 grandchildren when she couldn't manage on her own. It was a decision made out of love, but it ultimately left him with nothing. Now, he lives in an old RV, parked wherever he can find space.
No, I get $1,200 a month, and you can't buy food and live in an apartment on $1,200 a month. No, you can't.
Wendell relies on Social Security benefits, but with only $1,200 a month, it's impossible to afford both rent and food in one of the most expensive cities in America. But Wendell's situation was far worse. He wasn't just battling poverty, he also had to navigate the dangers of living among individuals struggling with severe mental health issues. Some of them posed a real threat to his safety. Wendell was attacked, losing teeth and suffering a broken jaw at the hands of violent individuals. The physical injuries not only caused him immense pain, but also took away his ability to work, leaving him with no choice but to survive without a home or shelter. Each day is a fight for survival, with no clear escape from poverty and loneliness. With his loved ones gone, he is left alone and powerless. Hope fades with each passing day. Now, his only wish is to leave the city, to spend his final years in the quiet countryside, away from the chaos, away from the cruelty of the world that has turned its back on him. Once a big fish in a small pond, Dennis had established a certain level of success in the entertainment industry. However, a tumultuous relationship led to the complete unraveling of his life. With his finances drained, he lost his home and began a life of wandering. Despite undertaking various jobs, ranging from manual labor to working as a Lyft driver, his circumstances remained dire. The situation worsened when his rented vehicle, the sole means of sustaining his livelihood, was stolen, plunging him further into despair. Without a home, financial security, or any external support, Dennis spent a year and a half living in a broken-down car. When even that option was no longer viable, he found himself sleeping in storage facilities, parking garages, and at times, directly on the streets. But the most painful thing for Dennis wasn't hunger or the cold. It was how society viewed people like him. Everyone assumes that those in his situation were either substance dependent or simply unwilling to work. Dennis firmly asserted that such perceptions were misguided. Not all homeless individuals were in their predicament due to personal failures. Many, like him, had been victims of unfortunate circumstances beyond their control.
I would hope that you would have the heart and the humanity to do something different.
He hopes society will change its perception of the homeless, because this situation can happen to anyone. If given the opportunity, he would wish for 3 things: a cure for his critical illness, an end to homelessness and poverty, and the dismantling of systemic class divisions. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Dennis continues to hold on to hope. Wendy, Wendell, or Dennis are just 3 among tens of thousands struggling to survive in Los Angeles, a city where dreams have turned into nightmares, pushing the desperate to the very edge of existence. So how much longer will this city, and all of us, turn a blind eye instead of reaching out to those being swallowed by the very city they call home? Los Angeles is trapped in a despair spiral, crushed under the weight of a raging homelessness crisis. Once a symbol of opportunity and prosperity, the city now bears the scars of a deepening nightmare. But is it too late to turn things around? City officials have introduced long-term strategies to tackle the growing crisis. The Housing First initiative, designed to provide unconditional housing, aims to give the homeless a stable foundation to rebuild their lives. The Tiny House Project, offering 8 by 8 foot micro shelters, provides temporary safety for those living on the streets. And Inside Safe, a city-led program, has helped nearly 3,782 people secure temporary and permanent housing. Yet, despite these efforts, the crisis only seems to deepen. Billions have been poured into solutions, but the streets tell a different story. Tent encampments stretch further, shelters remain overcrowded, and thousands still sleep under the open sky each night. The cycle of homelessness persists, trapping more people in a system that offers little more than temporary relief. So, what are the reasons? One of the biggest factors is the lack of comprehensive support. Many homeless individuals face challenges such as dependence on substances and mental health struggles, yet current programs do not effectively address these root issues. Not only that, while shelters provide temporary housing, they often lack essential safety measures. Residents frequently experience theft, insecurity, and unease, making these spaces feel just as unstable as life on the streets. But perhaps the most damaging issue is how these individuals are treated. They are not just abandoned by the system, they are often stripped of their dignity and dehumanized by society. The loss of self-worth, disrespect, and stigma they endure is an invisible wound that cuts deeper than any hardship. Foster, a resident of an Inside Safe shelter, shares his painful reality. "I've been through it all. The tears, the anger, the sickness, the humiliation, and being treated like I'm not even human. Her suffering is not just her own. It reflects the shared pain of thousands trapped in a cycle of hopelessness. Many of these individuals were once hard-working citizens, yet now they are cast aside, left to fade into the margins of society. Policies and programs may continue. Without addressing the root causes, these solutions will remain nothing more than temporary fixes. If society continues to view the homeless not as real people, but as outcasts to be discarded, then the vision of a truly restored and lasting Los Angeles will forever be just a dream, forever out of reach. Los Angeles is sinking into crisis, and things are only getting worse. When skyrocketing housing costs, rising crime, and homelessness becoming the new normal, the question is Los Angeles still worth staying in? Will you wait for a miracle or leave before it's too late? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and stay updated on our latest videos. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.